As school counselors, we work with a team of people. And one of the most important people is that person when they first walk into your counseling office. We are so fortunate to have an amazing person who greets our students as they enter into the Student Services Department.
How is school counseling a global profession?
My name is Susan SPELLMANCANN, and I'm a high school counselor in Calgary, Alberta. I'm in a self-directed high school, which is one of the only few truly self-directed schools in Canada. Very fortunate to be here and very fortunate to be a counselor here. It's very different than it is in other high schools, even within our own province, even within our own city. A self-directed high school provides a greater opportunity to really connect with the students and help them individually or in groups, in large groups. We are able to do more counseling, social emotional counseling, help the students with whatever it is they need. We do have a career practitioner, so we're very lucky that way. But we work together as a collaborative team to help each other, to help students. So we're able to do things like we created a personal wellness live binder to help all students in our school. And that might indeed not just only help them, but it might help other students who don't live in our area. Everyone has access to that personal wellness binder, and we're hoping that it will not only help our students in our own schools, but maybe in our district and actually maybe even in the world. There's no way to know that. Using the technology tools that we have available today, we can become more connected, are more connected, and not only help the people in our buildings, but help people in a broader, maybe even globally. Maybe some child across the world will pick up something from that binder and it will help them. And that's a really a wonderful opportunity for school counselors. On my desk, you see, we all want to change the world. We really do. And happiness is making your mark on the world. We really do want to make our mark on the world by helping not only the students in our care, but if a bonus is if we're able to help other students and make a difference in their lives, that's phenomenal too.
School counselors are really busy. But they're really here to help you.
I think this book, If the World Were a Village, a book about the world's people, really tells us a lot as school counselors. And I think there's many things that it talks about. One of the things it talks about is nationalities. We're dealing with students from all different nations. I know in the school that I was at previously to here, I think there were over 60 nations represented. And so those students are coming to our schools. Our ESL populations are growing. We are becoming more of a global village. We have students with multiple languages and multiple needs. And as school counselors, we need to understand that. Our world is becoming smaller. There's no doubt of that. We have to help students with all of the things that concern them. We're very lucky that in Canada, in this school in particular, all of our students can read. But that's not the way it is across the world. So school counselors have to understand the bigger picture so that they can help the students that they serve. Vianne, why do you think school counselors are necessary in all of our schools, including elementary, junior high, and high school?
Well, school counselors are critical in our schools. For many children, they have no one to go to when they have an issue, and a school counselor plays that role. In my view, school counselors are one of the most critical positions in any school district. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, school counselors save lives. They make a difference in children's lives. When a child is lost and has no one to go to, there's at least one adult whose role it is, 100%, to be there for that child. And we need to make sure that our children are safe and have someone they can go to, and school counselors play that role. So it's
Julie, being a PhD student who's doing her PhD in counseling, now doing a practicum in a high school, how do you view the necessity of school counselors?
Well, I've come to really appreciate a school counseling role a lot more now that I've had the opportunity to be within this environment. You always know, having been a student and being a student, that those people are important, but being in their shoes has really shown me not only do you have to sit within a counseling role, but you also have to be so much more to students. It's not only a role of mentorship, but it's a role where you have to go above and beyond to connect students to education, to motivational and inspiring things in the world that help them grow. And that's only one piece of it. And I'm learning that from a counseling perspective, it pushes you to be at the forefront of what you're doing, because not only are you working with impressionable minds, you're working with a system. You're working with people who live in families and needing to know how to best communicate with so many different people, administration, different faculty members. All of that becomes so important in your role as a counselor in a school setting. And as much as we can kind of see this, it's so much different being a part of it and being in the thick of it, and to see how one has to do that on top of all the other types of things that one needs to get done in a day. But it's a very special spot, because I know from my experience that I will take away the connections I have with the young people that I've made over this period, and it means the world. And everyone that I've seen in this position, although they are busy and they have their hands in so many places, wouldn't ever change their role. And I think that speaks to the type of person you need to be in a school as a school counselor. So that's been my experience thus far, and it has been a crazy learning curve, and I'm enjoying every minute.
Jenna, why do you think they need counselors in high schools?
They help create a positive atmosphere and help us with our issues.
High schools.
For guidance and support, and to keep us in line.
I guess looking forward, if there's one area that I sort of perceive a change that possibly could be happening, it would be in the area of technology. And what I mean by that is to support whether it's academics, mental health, the resources. Like, for example, we've moved into the live binders and the apps on the iPhones, etc. I see us utilizing that more and more in the s'mores. And so, for example, if a student needs resources, in the past, more so, we might have had pamphlets this here, had links. Now we can do more so things with apps. They can actually start to assess like what their anxiety levels are at, or reminders of different strategies. Or they could get things sent to them in terms of their academics, or reminders of when post-secondary universities are having their open house, or when certain applications are due, things about scholarships. So that aspect, I see technology huge. And ironically, I'm going to go the opposite way, and I actually see us being even more involved with the students, like on a personal level. Just more as I'm getting into the counselor role, I see sometimes the kids that really need that one touch, and maybe that's because of all the technology. So I'm sort of offsetting both, but that's would be my two things.
I think that they're important because going through high school is like a difficult thing, and there's like a lot of things that young kids have to balance, and having someone to like talk to and be there for them, and just like know that there's someone that they can always go to when they're like having issues is super important, because it's just good to have like that extra help when you're going through high school.
Important.
I think that school counselors are important because sometimes you think that you can take on a lot of things on your own, but you actually can't, and sometimes it's okay that you need help, and the school counselors are really there for you throughout thick and thin and when you really need the help.